Welcome to This Week in High School Sports. I'm Teresa Wippel. Hello, Steve Willits.
Hello, Teresa.
We're going to talk basketball, but first we want to have a word from our sponsor, Carrie Krause.
Absolutely. Whether you need to buy or sell real estate, Carrie Krause is ready to help you. She's local to South Snohomish and North King counties and knows the area very well. Contact Carrie to get more information on the value of your home or maybe a referral for a great mortgage advisor. When it's time to get to work, Carrie will take as much stress, worry, and work off of your plate as possible to make the home buying or selling process a positive one. You can find past client reviews on Zillow and Yelp.
All right, well, let's talk about basketball. We have a girls' game first, right?
Yeah, a huge game that took place over at the Showware Center on Monday. So again, this is Martin Luther King Day, a day in which a lot of the teams get together and play at these larger tournaments. Lynnwood and Todd Beamer got together for the second year in a row, I should mention. This was a big matchup last year on Martin Luther King Day, also at the Showware Center, a game in which Todd Beamer handed Lynnwood their first loss of the season. So it looked like it could be deja vu here as Lynnwood coming into this game undefeated. Todd Beamer ranked number 3 in the state at the 4A level. They only had one loss all season, and that was their first game of the year. And it ends up being all Lynnwood. Lynnwood hits a three-pointer at the buzzer to end the first quarter. Michaela Pivick, go figure, right? She usually does that. They were ahead 18-14 at that point. They come out in the second quarter and play probably 8 minutes of basketball. That was better than anything I've seen all season long. They outscored Todd Beamer 22-5 in the second quarter. Now keep in mind, this is a Todd Beamer team that has 3 players in their starting lineup that are playing Division I college basketball next year. And it was really a team effort. It starts with Michaela Pivick. She had 19 points at the half. But really, the whole starting lineup, Riley Walsh, Caprice Boston, Jordan Edwards, Kelsey Rogers, all playing great. And they get the 62-38 victory. And they just keep rolling. They're 15-0 now.
Wow. And what other games do we have?
We had one other big game on the boys' side of things. Mount Lake Terrace and Edmonds-Woodway getting together, first place versus second place. What ended up being, looked like it was going to be a little bit of a runaway early on, but it got close. Edmonds-Woodway jumps out to a 17-5 lead. They end up getting that lead up to 14 points midway through the third quarter. Mount Lake Terrace comes storming back. They get it down to a 4-point deficit with about 5 minutes to go in the game. And then Brady Edwards, who comes off the bench for Edmonds-Woodway, he puts up 5 quick points in back-to-back possessions, expands the lead out to 9, and Edmonds-Woodway ends up rolling to a 66-61 victory. This gives Edmonds-Woodway a 2-game lead in the standings over all of the other 3A teams. There's only 4 games left in the season, so now Edmonds-Woodway looking like they're in the driver's seat to capture the number 1 seed heading into the district playoffs, which will take place starting in 3 weeks.
Okay. And
should mention a few other games as well, too.
Yeah.
Edmonds-Woodway girls, 2 victories this week over Meadowdale and Mount Lake Terrace. Gets them back on track. They were coming off of a 4-game losing streak, so they run their record to 10-6 on the season. And yeah, it was nice for them to see what they could do with that part of the schedule. They're now in 3rd place. They've got a huge game coming up on Wednesday against Shorewood, the 4th place team. And oh, by the way, the team that ends up in 4th place in that particular division probably gets Lynnwood in the first round, so it might be best to win that game on Wednesday night.
Little motivation
Absolutely.
for winning. Yeah, okay. Well, and wrestling was amazing for Edmonds-Woodway this past week, wasn't it?
We've got a picture here, and this is the picture of your 3rd consecutive year Wesco South title champs. Edmonds-Woodway defeats Meadowdale 68-4. This was earlier in the week, and like I said, this gives Edmonds-Woodway the title again for Wesco 3A South. They're ranked 2nd in the state right now, and they continue to roll. They ended up wrestling Meadowdale, and they won 13 of the 14 matches. And giving Meadowdale a little bit of love here as we show a picture of Beck Millett. He is the only Meadowdale wrestler who came away with a victory that night. So at least Beck had a good match there. But Edmonds-Woodway just rolling very well. One other big match that night was Spencer Schultz versus Liam Ball. These are 2 of the top 5 wrestlers in the state at their weight class. Both wrestled in state last year. Spencer getting the victory over Liam in the ultimate overtime. So you know it's a good match when you not only do you win in overtime, but it takes an ultimate overtime to get the victory. So congratulations to both of those 2 for a great match, and I think those 2 might even match up again at state. We'll see. And then Edmonds-Woodway over the weekend had a huge dual match. It was the Dream Duels, which has some of the top teams throughout the state. I think 8 of the top 12 ranked teams at the 3A level were there. Edmonds-Woodway ends up wrestling in 4 different matches. They go 3-1 on the day. They finished in third place. Their third place match, the final match of the day, was against North Central, and it came down to the very last match to determine who was going to win. And Generous Yi, I think we got his name right, or Ye.
Yay. Yeah.
We're mainly just throwing this out there because
Yeah.
his name's Generous.
Let
and
us know if we mispronounce it. We'll get it right next time.
we get the generous part right, and that's
Yeah.
what I care about because I think that's fantastic that we get to say Generous on the air here. Generous was wrestling up at the 285 level. He normally wrestles at 220, and he gets a victory, which gives Edmonds-Woodway third place in that tournament. A very prestigious tournament, and a nice way for them to round out their season as they now have a big match coming up on Friday night against the 3A North champs, which is Arlington. And so that's kind of for bragging rights of Wesco, and that will pretty much take them into the regionals, which start next week as they prepare for hopefully getting some of those wrestlers down at the Tacoma Dome.
And that is at home. So if you want to come out and support the Warriors, be there at the wrestling pit on Friday night.
Friday night, 7 o'clock.
Okay. So in swimming, we had some nice results from some matchups there too.
Yeah, we previewed this a little bit last week. We actually had a time this week where all 4 of our schools were swimming at the same place at the same time. They were over at the Lynnwood pool on Tuesday night. Meadowdale picking up victories over Edmonds-Woodway and Mount Lake Terrace. Edmonds-Woodway picking up a victory over Lynnwood, and Mount Lake Terrace picking up a victory over Lynnwood. So 3 of our 4 schools coming away with victories of some sort. We want to mention some of the individual wrestlers as well, or wrestlers. They might wrestle too, but that'd be kind of strange. One of the swimmers, Anthony Edwards, who's on the screen right there, he wrestles for Edmonds-Woodway, and it's not the same Anthony Edwards that played Goose in Top Gun or was Dr. Green on
In
ER.
case you were wondering.
And yeah, a little bit younger and probably a much better swimmer as well. More hair, I would imagine, too. But Anthony Edwards was one of the swimmers that we had out there that day. We also have Kyle Weiss, who we see a picture of him there swimming in the 100 butterfly. Kyle Weiss, along with a few of his teammates, Casey Barnett, Jack Busby, and Gunnar Brent, also won relays in the 200 medley and the 200 freestyle. Other swimmers that had big afternoons, it was Matt Hibbler from Lynnwood winning the 50 freestyle, Joseph Livesey winning the 500 freestyle for Edmonds-Woodway, and Mount Lake Terrace had a 400 freestyle relay victory that had their 4 teammates, Zach Harian, Monchelle Young, Ravi Fan, and Joey May. I know I got Joey May's name right. The other 3 we'll see. All had victories as well. And also we want to show one more picture as Dylan Hartona from Edmonds-Woodway also was participating out there. So plenty of swimming taking place over at the Lynnwood pool. And they've got one more week of swimming before they head to districts. So stay tuned for that as Monroe, Edmonds-Woodway, and Monroe, Edmonds-Woodway, and Mount Lake Terrace head to Lynnwood on Tuesday. We knew there was a Lynnwood in there somewhere. Lynnwood and Meadowdale will be up at Everett, taking on Everett on Tuesday, and then Cascade, Edmonds-Woodway, and Mount Lake Terrace will also be up in Everett on Thursday before the district meet next Saturday at the Lynnwood pool, which starts at 4 p.m.
Okay. And something we have not reported on yet this year, cheerleading. What's going on there?
Cheerleading, wrapping up their season. The state tournament starts next week. I should say it's a one-day tournament that takes place over at the Alaska Airlines Arena, formerly known as Heck Edmondson at the University of Washington. Meadowdale, which has won multiple state championships over the last few years, they had already qualified for state, I guess it was a week or 2 ago. There was one last chance to qualify for state, which took place over the weekend, Saturday night over in Kent. And Lynnwood and Mount Lake Terrace also received qualifying scores. So we're going to have 3 of our schools participating at the state cheer competition next Saturday. It's on January 30th. And if you've never been to one of these competitions, and I had a chance to cover it 2 years ago, it's much more extreme than you think it is. You think of cheerleading, you think of jumping up and down and pom-poms, and these are pyramids and stunting and throwing people into the air and catching them, and it's very intense and it's very competitive, and it's very exciting for these 3 teams. They have to go through quite a bit just to make it to state. So for all 3 of our schools to get there, that's a big deal, and we wish them well. Next Saturday.
Yes, we do. Those ladies work hard.
Absolutely.
And men,
There's
co-ed.
Yeah, absolutely.
There are guy cheerleaders as well. That's great. Okay. And upcoming this week, we've got some broadcasts on the Sound Live Sports Network. And what else should people be interested in?
We do. Tuesday, we've got a wrestling match over at Mount Lake Terrace High School between Lynnwood and Mount Lake Terrace. That will take place at 7 o'clock, so they can tune in to soundlivesportsnetwork.com, or they can attend over at Mount Lake Terrace High School. And then on Friday night, we're going to be broadcasting the Glacier Peak versus Mount Lake Terrace boys basketball game also taking place at Mount Lake Terrace High School. And just once again to mention the district meet for swimming on Saturday, cheerleading on Saturday, and then the big Edmonds-Woodway Arlington wrestling match Friday. So a lot going on this week, and we certainly encourage folks to get out there and support the young athletes of the Edmonds School District.
All right. Well, Steve Willits, thanks again for being here with us. And we thank Carrie Krause again for her sponsorship, Champions Real Estate Services. And we will see you again next week.